Okay.
Okay, so what we're about to play around with today is a sort of preview version, a gamma playtest, if you will, of the Yellow King role-playing game that I'm going to be designing for Pelgrane. This is a standalone role-playing game that is based just on the works of Robert W. Chambers, and it will not have any references to the Cthulhu mythos in it. If people want to add Cthulhu, of course, they can get their copy of Trail of Cthulhu, and all the stats, of course, are interoperable and everything will work. And so this will be its own thing. And there are a number of different time periods and realities that it covers, but for the sake of this playtest, we're focusing on the first of them, and that is Americans abroad in Belle Epoque Paris. And so the idea here is that you are all you're young men of wealthy families, and of course, if there are certainly options to play people from other backgrounds, but in this case, we're going to do the kind of version that Chambers would have done. And so you're all from wealthy New York families. You all kind of know each other, and you've all decided to come over to Paris to pursue careers in the arts. And so, although you are from wealthy families, your wealthy families did not necessarily support you entirely in this. So now you're living kind of hand-to-mouth existences in the whirling boom times and color and swirl and absinthe of Paris in 1895. The city is kind of coming apart at the seams. There's a giant political struggle between the right and the left, which focuses itself around the building of a big cathedral on the site of a massacre 20 years ago when the conservative forces wiped out the communards, the rebellious leftists who were staging a revolution in the city. Actually, more people died then than died in the French Revolution that most of us outside of France think of when we think of revolutions in France. But that is of little moment to you. You may not even have noticed that because you're living the American life in Paris as art students, many of you either at the Royal Academy of Art, or the Academy Française, the French Art Academy. And this, although the Impressionists are around, you are more interested in the more conservative style of art that is represented by these sort of monumental, mythic paintings and portraits. So if you are aware of the Impressionists at all, they are certainly well known. You may think of them as crazy or foolish, and certainly not creating the sort of art that you would be able to sell back home. And your goal, of course, is to learn all of the technical aspects of art in order to then take it back home and create the sort of paintings that Americans will like, which are, at this point, nice, solid, well-delineated works of art that look traditional and monumental and invoke the great spirit of the great 19th American century. So you're living not
just silly blobs of color.
Yes, no blobs of color, no painting outside, that's nonsense. No trying to paint things so that they look realistic or, God forbid, impressionistic, but monumental and heroic. And so you kind of live a hand-to-mouth existence. You probably live in a few different sort of squalid garrets, and you carefully husband your small allowances that your family are allowing you as you attempt to become great artists. Now, there's something about you that is about to become apparent, and it's something that you all have in common, but in slightly different ways, and that is that all of you has an impulse that if weird danger were to suddenly surface in your lives, which it is not so far, but we're about to discover in the course of this scenario that all of you have something that would lead you to head toward danger and strangeness instead of away from it. And not only that, but you would go in by yourself or with your group of friends, but it would not occur to you to call the authorities. And Americans in Paris attempting to get French authorities to do anything would probably be kind of pointless anyway. But there's something more to it than that. So I'm going to invite you each to explain why your character will act like a character in a horror story instead of a sensible person who would run away from trouble. So there are drives in the game, but for the purpose of this scenario, I thought I would invite you to consider your own choices, and we can define those a little further. So, Lowell, can you start by telling people a little bit about Clifford Rowden, and specifically why Clifford would head toward danger?
So Clifford Rowden is a student of architecture, so I picture him going out and sketching all the great buildings of Paris throughout his time here, and especially I picture him doing cathedrals and graveyards and things like that. He has a Gothic impulse, a fascination with sort of the Poe-esque stuff as an affectation that worked on women back home that he's carried on. So he has kind of a morbidity that he has bought into. And so when the weird would happen, he would go towards it because it's fascinating.
Okay, so we'll call that a Poe-like morbidity, which is a fabulous drive for this. And you probably spend a lot of time haunting Le Marais, the medieval neighborhood that still exists in Paris. So, Henrik, could you tell us a little bit about Sim Fallowby?
Well, so Sim is more like a wide-eyed child. I picture him than a grown man. He's not that old, maybe still in his 20s, I think. So he just wants to experience it all, from dining with the rich people and trying to be like them, to all the strange and wonderful things that can happen in Paris, and even morbid and horrifying stuff. As long as he, maybe not actually. Maybe even if it doesn't seem entirely safe, he's up for it. Just to experience it and to use it in his poetry.
So we'll call that a seeker of experience. And as everyone I think saw on the sheet, he is an aspiring poet. So Mark, tell us a little bit about Stanley Trent, the sculptor in the group.
Stanley's a practical man. He's at the side of art that touches and feels. He works with steel to create large sculptures of post-industrial of representations of machinery. There's always a practical solution to everything. If there's a mystery, it's because he doesn't understand it. There's some rational explanation. Science will help him explain it. There's something he can break or fix and mend and break and fix again. So he's always, if there is a mystery, he wants to demonstrate that it can be solved through the application of science and practicality.
So we'll scientific practicality. Michael, tell us about Henley Braith.
Just to be clear, Bella Lectrist is just like a book. Is it like a book enthusiast or? Right.
So he's a writer, but the genre of writing that he's interested in are essays and think pieces, and so it's outside. It's sort of journalism, but it's a more sort of creative side of journalism. So today, he would be a blogger, but in 1890s Paris, he is probably trying to sell little articles and anything from little political sketches to editorials to possibly semi-fictionalized interviews with people to maybe things that are actual journalism. So it's a genre of sort of all-around think PC, mostly nonfiction, except some of your nonfiction might be made up.
Okay, yeah. So Henley really he wants to get out there and get people to read his stuff. So the best way to do that sometimes is to go and seek out some weird things and just experience life, and any sort of like interesting thing he can find will make it easier for him to write about his experience and then get other people to read it. So he's interested in seeing what you can and gaining experiences.
So let's call that journalistic curiosity.
Okay.
And Eric, tell us about Richard Selby.
Right. So Richard is a portrait painter. He is a refined aesthete. He enjoys the good things in life, I assume. He might be considered by some as a bit of a fop. He is, I think, actually, I do believe he's homosexual, actually, but he's, as many would be at the time, sort of conflicted about it. But I think he is really sort of, he cannot stand the boredom of everyday life. He is always looking for extraordinary experiences. I suppose ennui is his drive.
That's exactly the name of the drive in the game. And finally, Peter, tell us about Jack Elliott.
So Jack Elliott is from Colorado, the son of ranchers, and he spent a bunch of time in his youth being ill, and was kind of shunned by his community and his parents and family, until he fell into scouting, which I just looked up, and scouting wasn't established yet, but there maybe was a church group that was similar.
It is for our purposes. You've just changed. We have artistic license, so scouting has been established.
Sounds good. So through the scouts, he gained respect from his parents, and he's latched on to competence as being the core thing that will make him useful and get along in the world. So he kind of fetishizes competence and would want to not back down from things, and would not want to turn to somebody else to solve problems for him, even if they're problems he can't actually solve.
So he's well, if he's part of the Scouts, shall we call this this drive always prepared?
Sure.
Actually, it's probably more can-do attitude. Let's call it that. Now, there's another thing that each of you has had something strange happen to him, a damn peculiar business that has been so peculiar and perhaps relatively modest in its scope, but something that still preys on your mind a little bit, that you haven't even discussed it with the others. But in the past, let's say 6 months in Paris, each of you has had some sort of peculiar event occur. Who wants to jump in and volunteer what their case of damn peculiar business was?
I've got one.
Okay.
That while out looking around and sketching, I saw a building sort of open to the public as a museum. There was no one else there, and it was striking pictures and paintings like I hadn't seen before. A tour guide that didn't speak to me but kind of walked 30 paces ahead, and weird angles to the place. And I was there once, and I've never been able to find it again. I look for it, and I have never seen it again or anything like it.
Okay. Someone else have a damn peculiar business?
I do. So while wandering through the catacombs of Paris as tourists are wont, when the only time that Jack has been there, he got lost and kept trying to find his way out and ended up in a place where there were only 2 rooms that were connected, 2 chambers, 2 areas, and while walking back and forth through them, he could not find the way he got in or a way out until he became exhausted and fell asleep, and when he woke up, he was able to find his way out.
Okay. Anyone else?
Sure. I had a strange dream in which I saw the face of a young man whom I was later hired to do a portrait of. And I'd never seen this young man before, but I knew that I'd seen him in a dream.
Okay. And Henrik, do you have a damn peculiar business?
I do. I was invited to a big dinner party with lots of fancy guests as sort of interesting young characters who seemed interesting to some of the participants. And after a long dinner with everyone, drinking a lot of stuff and maybe smoking different things as well, everyone changed into really strange beings and started having doing strange things to each other, sex and depravity in its in the purest form I've ever experienced. I managed to get out of there in the end, and since I've been trying to capture that experience in poetry, not succeeding very well so far.
Okay, Mark, what is your damn peculiar business?
Yeah, I've been wandering the streets and taking in the local atmosphere, the cafes, the bars, the people. I've been sketching the rooftops, but I've grown convinced over the last few weeks that the ornamentation, the buttresses, the gargoyles, they change. They seem to change. It's perhaps I'm not used to the city and I'm getting lost and getting confused. But I've started to sketch more and more and more of it, streets over and over again to try and see if it's changed. If that gargoyle that was in the next street yesterday is now in this street tonight. I'm now starting to think about maybe I need to look at photography to try and capture a more permanent record to prove it. I'm sure there must be an explanation. I'm just getting lost and turned around. That gargoyle was there yesterday, but I just need to prove it.
Okay, and so finally we come to Henley Braith's damn peculiar business. Michael?
Yeah, so Henley was going about in one neighborhood just interviewing people, trying to get an idea on what the neighborhood was like so he could write about it. And he took his notes, and then he went back to where he lives, and the next morning he finds that there are notes in the margins and more observations that have been written down about the experience he had talking to them, like things that he had not noted down but he remembered observing, and he doesn't know where the annotations came from.
Okay, so is everyone familiar with the GUMSHOE?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so you may notice that some of the abilities on the character sheets are a little bit different. I think they're mostly self-explanatory in terms of investigative abilities, except for maybe a few. Also, the difference here is because the characters have a really stripped-down list of abilities, rather than having ratings for each investigative ability and which you can spend from. Each of you has 2 pushes, and so you can spend a push to gain a special benefit when using any investigative ability. So that simplifies that somewhat. And that those of you who are familiar with GUMSHOE 1-to-1 will be familiar with that, streamlining the process. In terms of the general abilities, I think that's all also self-explanatory. You'll note that instead of stability, there's composure, which measures not only your ability to react with steely calm when strange things happen, but also your ability to remain cool and collected in any situation of stress. So this game does not, at this point anyway, have the usual stability points that tick down like health does.
Why is negotiation italicized on my sheet as an investigative?
The interpersonal abilities are italicized.
Oh, okay.
And let's see.
But the general abilities work as they do in standard. GUMSHOE.
That's correct.
Do we need dice?
You need a D6.
I will be right back.
Okay, if you're taking a break, I'll take a quick break too, so I'll reconvene in a sec.
Okay, I'll grab a soda.
So is anybody who's left familiar with Skype? I've got some weird behavior.
Can't say that I am, actually.
When I mute the video and then I go to the tools options, the video it works. And when I unmute the video, then it works for about a second and then freezes. That's not anything anyone's familiar with, is it? Okay. I didn't think so, just thought I'd check since we're not proceeding right now.
I honestly haven't used Skype in forever either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to reinstall it because I forgot it wasn't installed.
Oh.
Okay, is everyone back?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And I think there's one. Oh, and so Mark, the investigative ability steal that you have in on your character sheet is intimidation, sort of renamed for this purpose. So you're not necessarily physically threatening to people, but you have this sort of steely glare and core of inner confidence that you can use to sort of get people to either back down or to tell you things that they might not otherwise want to tell you. So that just sort of makes it clear that it's not you're not physically prepossessing. You may also notice that you have no fighting abilities. What you have is evasion, and that is your ability to it's both fleeing and also your ability to sort of get out of a physical altercation. So the thought in this particular setting of the Yellow King, and it's not true of all of them, is that you are able to sort of get away from trouble, but the expectation is not that you can take on enemies head on and defeat them the way that you can in the Esoterrorists and most other GUMSHOE games.
Are we likely to have a refresh?
It is. I think you should count on probably not a refresh unless something unlikely happens. So it's possible, but don't expect it.
So, quick question about my investigative ability, Demimonde. I interpret. Yeah, sure.
That's the streetwise of 1890s Paris. So you are familiar with the down and out scene, and so you know criminals and prostitutes and policemen and also the rich people who dabble in the world of decadence, which is undoubtedly why you wound up at that weird dinner party.
Yep. Thanks.
So we begin with an incident in which, let's see here. So Sim is at Richard Selby's apartment when a knock comes at the door, and what do you do?
Well, I sashay over to the door, I suppose, and open it.
And there's a man standing there, and he's wearing a strange sort of hooded cloak that seems quite out of place amid the fashions of Paris in 1895. And he says, Monsieur Selby, I presume.
Bonjour, monsieur. How can I help you?
It is my understanding that you are a painter of portraits.
Indeed, this is true.
I have many times asked painters to paint a picture of me, but have never been satisfied with the results. I find that none of them have been able to convey the true and complete essence of my visage. I saw your work in the student show and thought it was interesting and promising and unsullied by the fashions and fripperies of the day. And I would like to engage you to paint my portrait and that of my sister.
A challenge indeed, sir. I am at your service.
I'm most pleased to hear that. I would be available to begin sitting as early as this afternoon. What does your schedule look like?
This afternoon? Absolutely, sir. I do believe we can accommodate that.
And at this point, Sim, the marrow in your bones has chilled. The very sight of this guy is freaking you out. So make a composure test.
Yay! First roll. A composure test, and we can spend on general.
You can choose to spend any number of those composure points that you have. You must announce in advance that you're doing that.
I'll just roll.
Okay.
And that's a 5.
So you manage to remain calm in the face of this frightening presence because you've seen this man before. He was one of the main participants in the strange dinner party that you attended.
Well, did I get his name?
His name is Etienne Mondon. And he was there with his sister, who he introduced as Casilda. And you're not entirely sure, due to the strange swirl and hallucinatory effect of the whole evening, but you think that the woman that he introduced as his sister was someone that he was in sexual contact with as the evening grew crazier.
Has he left?
He has left, yes. Unless there's anything either of you want to say to him.
No, I assume that we've scheduled a more precise time when he and presumably his sister will arrive.
So I'm trying to gain my composure and say, wow, so Richard, this must be a new for you, getting people to seek you out for commissions.
It happens from time to time.
Really?
What can I say? One's reputation starts to precede oneself. I suppose it's only inevitable. Somewhat peculiar fellow, though, don't you think?
Yeah, he is.
Sounds like you know the man.
Oh, no, not really. I have met him once.
You do look pale, Sim.
Yeah, he.
Let me refill your glass.
Yeah, thank you. He should make a very interesting subject for your picture.
So at this point, we cut over to the apartment that Henley and Stanley share together, and both of you were out pretty late last night, and you drank a lot of absinthe. It has to be said. Stanley, perhaps you started off with the scotch, and then after the scotch you got into and of course it was very inexpensive whiskey, but then finally you moved on to the absinthe, and so it's perhaps been a later morning than you were hoping to have, and Stanley is snoring quite soundly in his room when Henley comes to consciousness with the terrifying feeling that there is a presence in his room. Henley, what do you do?
Kind of sit up and look around.
And in fact, you see a strange cloaked figure scribbling in the margins of your journal.
I stop moving and try to look and see if I can how well can I see him?
Your eyes are sort of still blurry and weird, and you kind of at first think it's a dream, but you can make out his the sort of strange cowl that he's wearing and the cloak over his otherwise fashionable and expensive attire. But the most notable thing is that he seems to be wearing this strange leather mask.
I shout out something to the effect of, "Hey, you! What are you doing with my notes?"
And he throws down the journal. In fact, he distracts you by throwing it at you, and he sort of whisks his way out of the door in a great flapping of his heavy coat.
I fumble with fumble with the journal, put it to the side, and try to pursue him out the door, probably stumbling along the way.
Okay, and at that point, he draws his sword cane and forces you back. Make an evasion check.
Okay, I'll just roll. I'm still waking up.
Right, and you don't get the sense that he's trying to kill you. You get the sense that he's trying to get you to back off.
Okay, I got a 3.
Okay, so you do in fact realize that the safest thing to do is to back off, and he leaps out of your window with a flutter of his cloak and is gone. And at this point, Stanley has undoubtedly heard his friend's cries, and presumably at this point stumbles with sleep still in his eyes, out into the main studio room of this 3-room apartment.
Sure, I pulled my dressing gown on. It's still untied, cords dangling everywhere, tripping over my own feet. But I've picked up what the first thing that came to hand, which is like a poker from the fire in my room. So I'm peering around in the studio room trying to see what's happening.
And you can see the open window. You realize that there's something kind of odd about that because there's no fire escape or anything. It's just an open window, and this is a third floor building. So normally people just don't leap out of third-story buildings in Paris. Yet there it is. The shutters are open, wind is flying, the threadbare curtains are waving in the breeze. So what do you say to each other?
Did you leave the door? Did you leave the door locked? Did you lock the door last night?
I definitely locked the door, and I rush over and try the door. Yep, chain secured, bolted, bars across it. Also, it's not the wealthiest part of the city.
Yeah.
Although we were very drunk.
Yeah. There's just an intruder. I chased him off. Yeah.
Really?
I chased him off.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you dream it, maybe, or?
Maybe. No. It happened. Intruder in here. I chased him out. He didn't take any of our stuff. We're fine.
Okay.
So we now cut to the cafe where all of you gather for lunch, and you just are now saying the exact same thing that you said to Stanley, but you're now saying it to the entire group. So this is a cheap cafe where you go for your little bit of bread and butter and of course wine. That goes without saying. So it's there's some a place where you can kind of fill up on not maybe the best food or the healthiest food, but you can fill your bellies on your student budgets. And so this is your typical cafe, and it's called La Vache Verte.
La Vache, what?
So how do Clifford and Jack respond to this story of intrusion?
I have only one question. The truth or dreamlike quality of it all matters not to me. What did he write? What did he write in the margins of the book? We must know. We must read it to us.
I assume I have my book with me?
You do have your book with you.
Yeah.
And
so I open it up and I look at the notes that been made in the margins.
And so there on the Google Doc, you see what he has written. He has a strange crabbed script. Of course, all script is crabbed in horror.
Now, Sim, that is poetry.
That sounds like gibberish to me.
Oh, no, it has a meaning, an echo to it. Look at it closely.
Yeah, sure, it's true in some way, but have to work on the I think starts a bit plain there. Maybe we can go it over together.
I'm sorry, Henrik. Can you move your mic closer to your mouth?
Yeah, sure. Is that any better?
A little better. Thanks.
Well, gentlemen, a toast. For today, I had received a commission of not one, but 2 portraits. Celebrations.
I assume that means you're buying.
Well, of course, I haven't been paid yet. But when I do get my pay, I shall, of course, all invite you for a joyful evening on the town, as it were.
That is not a song we haven't heard before.
Here's to your commission and the day that you treat us.
So the group all gets together for the after eating. You all head back over to Richard's apartment, and as you await the arrival of the portrait subject, at which point you figure maybe then you'll all get scarce, of course, because you don't want to cause trouble with his new client. But Henley, you are still somewhat, Sim, you are somewhat disquieted by having the sense of having seen this portrait seeker before. What do you say or do about that?
So we're at Richard's apartment. Did you say?
You can either be at Richard's apartment, or we can rewind and you can still be at the cafe.
Yeah. Oh, fine. Richard, I'm not sure you should actually do this. I don't feel safe with this guy.
Not safe?
No.
Hey, did you say something like that, sir?
Didn't you see him? Didn't you feel the waves of sheer horror emanating from him? Well,
I do say your poet mind has got the better of Sim. As I said, seems to be quite an eccentric fellow, for sure, but menacing, I think not. No, and then at any rate, I'm scarcely in the position to turn down such a handsome assignment. I'm sure it will be all right.
Yeah, of course, I understand, and I don't really understand why I'm feeling this way, but it's well, maybe I should tell you what happened when I met him the first time.
You met him, you say?
Yeah. We were at this dinner. I read some poetry. My latest stuff. I think it actually went quite okay, and people seem to appreciate it. I don't know. I don't think that induced any of the things that were to come. But later in the evening, everyone started having sex with everyone, and it was horrible. I mean, I'm no stranger to an orgy, but this was horrible. People doing really horrible stuff to each other, and this Etienne Plamondon, I think it was fucking his sister.
Oh dear, come on! Hey,
yeah.
Are you sure you hadn't been, sipping a bit too much of the absinthe that night?
Of course I had, but yeah.
Well, to each one's own, I suppose. Depravity is one thing,
yeah.
And
yeah, I can't see why I should be so scared, even if he's an incestuous person, so to speak. But yeah, something's off about him.
I must say, Sim, this information, if anything, makes me even more eager to take on this assignment.
Yeah, of course it would, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Titillating subject, don't you think? It would take quite the artistic talent to capture something of that sort of depravity behind behind the
tried-
eyes of the man, don't you think?
Of course, yeah. I wish you good luck, better luck than me. I've tried all since that night. Failed so far.
And as this conversation continues, Stanley, your eye is drawn outside the window of the cafe to the building opposite, where the ornamentation on the building seems to be different than the last time you checked. And one of the sort of gargoyle figures, sort of a jester figure that you're sort of used to and find kind of charming, seems to have a different face now. How do you react to that?
I look at it. I pull out my knapsack, which I carry with me, and I start leafing through the bundles of paper, the sketches that I've been taking every day, and I throw them to the floor, scrumpling them up, throwing them down, almost obsessively piling through them, trying to find a sketch that I took from that cafe just the day before that showed that view from the window. And eventually I find it, and I look at it, and it's crumpled, and I smooth it out, and I point at it, and I show it to the others, almost wordlessly, just with noises, that it's the same. It's a different gargoyle from the one that's there just now. I'm like, I took this picture yesterday. I drew this yesterday. This sketch. It's not the same.
Well, Stanley, sketching isn't the greatest. Are you sure that that's different?
Are you saying sculptor? Sculpting's not a proper art?
No.
I'm just
I have nothing against sculpting, but you're no painter.
I can capture detail. I can show the line. I can show the form. Detail's what I'm about. I don't abstract to what I think I see. I draw what I see, and this is not what I saw yesterday.
Well, I can clearly see that it's the building over there, but I must say I'm at a loss to remember exactly the exact ornamentation of the building.
Well, this seems like it has a fairly simple way to proceed. I say we mark it. We mark the gargoyle, and tomorrow when the gargoyle has the same mark, you'll see that it's the same gargoyle.
Well, that seems like quite the adventure. We're going to climb up there then, go up to the top of the building and mark it.
You fine artist, you draw, you sketch it today, and tomorrow we'll compare. If my drawing as a sculptor doesn't.
I will make a drawing.
Why don't we all draw? All of us will draw in our own form, or describe in words, or in form, or an image what we see today, and then tomorrow we can see if it's still the same.
That seems a fair proposition.
Why not? Why not indeed?
And
Well,
so,
when we've produced our drawings, I'd like to compare them and make sure they're drawings of the same thing.
So, Richard and Jack's drawings are drawings of a sort of a comical, leering jester figure, whereas Stanley's drawing is a figure of a hunched person in a cloak, wearing a strange mask. And, of course, Henley, you spot that and you immediately associate it with the mysterious figure who wrote marginal notes in your diary.
The intruder I was telling you about that I chased off. Yes, that he was wearing that mask. Or that face.
And so you, Henley, look up at this gargoyle, and you don't see the jester figure that the two painters have sketched, but indeed you see the masked figure that Stanley has sketched.
And I can't find a viewpoint from which it doesn't look like a jester to me, I assume.
Make a composure check.
I got a 1.
So actually, now that you're looking again, you have no idea why you sketched a stupid jester, because clearly it's the hunched figure wearing the mask that Stanley has sketched.
What's happening, gentlemen?
Certain slant of light. It changes. The great sculptors here are able to make figures that have a transitive property depending on the time of day, depending on the angle, that sort of thing.
Or the level of drunkenness, perhaps.
There might be a little bit of the wine to it.
I doubt that I'm more drunk than I was 10 minutes ago.
Isn't that what a drunk would say?
Touché.
Architects.
This is highly unusual.
So what can I see, Robin, when I look at it?
You see the hunched figure with the mask.
I am going to go over there, try to find my way up to the roof.
It is not interesting for you to fail to do that, so you're not required to make an athletics check. And so you are now up sort of on top of the roof, and you're sort of dangling over, and you're closer to the gargoyle.
And we're down on the street, typical American style, kind of looking up with our glasses of wine, watching him do this.
Yeah.
Well, traffic runs us over. Yep.
So what do I see from here? Does it still look like a robed figure or the jester?
Make a composure check.
One again.
It looks like the masked figure.
So Hanley,
I'm going to try to kick it down. I don't like this. I want to examine it more carefully, and
so you
but at
can,
the same time, I'm prepared to flee if the police show up.
Well, it's perfectly obvious to you that you can't. This is a big, heavy stone thing, so it's not anything you're going to be able to. You need explosives or a pickaxe for a big chunk of time in order to get that off the building.
I'm going to do one more quick thing before I go down. I'm going to take a piece of paper from my satchel and a chalk, and I'm going to make a rubbing of its face and see what that rubbing looks like.
Nice.
And very strangely, when you do that, the rubbing just looks like a handsome man's face. It looks like the sort of sharp-featured, maybe slightly saturnine or devilish face, but it's a portrait of a man's face.
So it looks like neither the mask nor the jester.
That's correct.
I'll go back down with my compatriots.
Okay.
Well?
So, Henley, what do you think about that mask? That the pallid mask?
Okay, did I see the mask or did I see the jester?
Have you checked before to see? You see the mask.
Okay.
No, the pallid mask. In your the notes in your book.
So I open up my book now that you've mentioned that. And look, and yes.
So, indeed, there's that. Again, you see the inscription. It says, "My mind will bear forever the memory of the pallid mask."
Well, the man who wrote that in my book when he was invading my room did wear that mask.
And at this point, Richard, seeing the rubbing that Jack made, you see that face, and indeed Sim will recognize him as well, is the face of Etienne Plamondon.
Composure?
Gets stranger and stranger.
Okay. Why is Skype crashing for me?
That
Is anyone good with how to change that in Skype or in Windows?
I think if you go to Tools Options, there's an audio settings, and you can adjust your gain there. I think.
But have to do loud whispers then.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Lowell. Activity, and he's the one who's recording the thing. So.
Before it kills me again, Skype is continuing to crash and crash on me here. I apologize.
Okay. So what was being discussed when you were before you bumped out?
Before I bumped out, we had seen that the mask was in fact the rubbing was in fact Etienne's face.
So I think everything after that was just reaction. So I think we're still good.
Okay.
So we've discussed the weirdness of the gargoyle and the visitor who scribbled in the margins and the man who wants his portrait taken. So what does the group now decide to do?
I say we go with you when you go to have this portrait done. Maybe we can take an eyeful. If he's some sort of mesmerist, perhaps we can find that out. Or if there's something stranger, perhaps we'll see more of that.
I'm sure there's a rational explanation. I mean, maybe he's just got a very, very French face. You know, it's not, Yeah, I've just,
Oh, the French.
The rubber and the statues. He doesn't have an. I'd like to see this man. Maybe he's just got a very, very normal face. Maybe many statues of that face. Maybe that's just the kind of face. Maybe his relatives had an interest in art. I don't know. Maybe they commissioned that. There could be a reason. I'm with you. I think we should see this guy. Maybe ask for some more money.
You're certainly free to come with me to my apartment, and I assume today's session will be sort of preliminary, and unless Monsieur Clermont objects, perhaps you can sit in while I work.
What reason could we have for being there?
We're his friends. We're here for a drink. We've dropped in just at the most inopportune time.
Yes.
And speaking of drinks, everyone make a composure check.
Oh my god, I rolled a 1.
Roll the 1.
I am actually going to spend 1 on this.
Okay.
I rolled a 4, so +1, 5.
Okay, so everyone who got less than 4 has chosen to steel their nerves amid this strangeness and has perhaps overindulged in the cheap wine at La Vache Verte. So who is now heavily intoxicated?
Jack is.
Half of our number.
Henley. Yep.
Okay, so Jack, Henley, and who else?
Richard.
Richard.
Unfortunately.
Yes. So, cut to the apartment, and at the appointed time, the firm rap on the door occurs.
Right. The door, and I open.
And there's Etienne Plamondon standing there, and he immediately smells the wine on your breath. And as those of us who occasionally enjoy a beverage have all experienced, there's that moment when you realize that you are drunker than you thought you were. And this, for you, Richard, is that moment. You suddenly realize that you've overindulged, and he's looking at you quite askance, and it's quite clear to him that you are 3 sheets to the wind. Monsieur Selby, I see that I've been mistaken. I thought we arranged for a portrait sitting at this point, but I see that there is a bit of a revel in progress.
No, Monsieur, please do come in. Some of my friends happened to drop by. It was quite unplanned. Yes, we've dined a little, but I assure you, there's certainly no problem. Do step in, please. We shall commence work immediately.
Is your hand steady, Monsieur Selby?
Oh yes, always steady hands. No problem.
Because I must say that I suspect that there is an offense to my honor being given here through your disrespect, and to be honest, I take offenses to my honor quite seriously. And he sort of taps his cane on the ground, and of course, you all probably heard from Sim that it is a sword cane.
Well, I assure you, Monsieur, no disrespect was ever intended on my part, nor indeed from any of my friends. I do apologize, of course, if it is being taken that way. I assure you that you will be fully satisfied with my work, and that if we may only commence now. You will find that you will be treated with the utmost respect and dignity.
Very well. I have set this time aside, and although I am now somewhat skeptical as to the prospects, I will indeed submit myself to your portraiture. Where shall I sit?
Right here, Monsieur. Right here, over here on this chair, perhaps. I will begin by doing some preliminary sketches for now.
So, Sim, it's time for another composure check.
Oh, sorry, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just roll straight. No, this is failure 1.
So you become conscious of the fact that you are now perspiring heavily, and it's a cold perspiration running in rivulets down your forehead and into the small of your back. And as he sits down, Etienne Plamondon notices this and looks over and said, unlike some of your fellows here, sir, you seem discomfited in a way not explained by ordinary drunkenness. Are you in some distress by any chance?
No, I just I feel maybe a cold coming on. Yeah.
Oh, wait, your voice is familiar to me, sir. Are you not the noted American poet Sim Fallowby?
I am. Yes. That's me. Nice to meet you again, Mr. Plamondon.
We were most impressed by your voices at our soiree the other week. There are those who say that you are nothing but a clown and a buffoon and a spinner of nonsense words, but we found them quite enchanting and dripping with revelatory prospect.
Well, I'm really pleased to hear that, Mr. Plamondon. That's very kind of you to say.
If I recall correctly, you did not stay for the entire evening.
I stayed a while. In the end, I felt like, I wanted to go home a bit indisposed. My nerves, as they're helping me with my poetry, but also sometimes they're in my way. At gatherings like the ones at that night.
I should have expected that you were a neurasthenic. Nonetheless, we would be delighted to have you attend our next gathering, which happens to be tomorrow evening.
Oh, tomorrow you say? Oh, John, I'm not sure I can make it, but I'll check, and maybe I can. We'll see. Thank you for the invitation.
Perhaps. If I'm
sorry, go ahead.
Perhaps, Sim, you might share with Etienne some of the found verse that you discovered. That piece with the strange names in it. Perhaps he might know something of it. You were planning on working it into your pieces there?
Well, it's actually Henley who had the mysterious annotation.
I know, but I'm throwing it to him. Yes.
Right.
Since he's read it and so on.
Right.
He's a poet.
I don't think we should trouble Mr. Plamondon with those now. Maybe tomorrow.
Yes. If you have no new verses for us, we would be delighted to hear them.
Well, you see, I don't want to take up time now. You're here for the painting and.
Oh no! Please read them at our soiree tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Let's settle for that. Thank you.
Sir, I assure you that we will make sure that our friend arrives safely, and we'll make sure he's there, and perhaps even stay for a while.
Yes, there are a number of you who would be suitable for our revels. You're all fine, strapping men with meat on your bones.
Fair enough.
Now that I've seen him, I'd like to use art history and see. He mentioned to Eric's character, to Richard, that he had many portraits painted. I'm wondering if I've ever seen any of those.
Oh, nice.
Yes, as a matter of fact, it's hard to tell because it's more like you've seen a number of portraits of his sort of general sort of physiognomy, but none of them really quite captures sort of the angles and planes of his face. But also, the odd thing about he must just be like a type, like a French type, like someone was saying later, because not all of these portraits are recent. There's portraits that come to mind that go, all the way back to the beginning of the Renaissance, to the beginning of realistic portraiture in Europe.
I'm also going to sketch him, if nobody objects, and his sister.
But yeah.
Well, the sister is here.
That's right.
Okay.
So does anyone else do anything before the portrait session concludes?
No, I have something I'd like to do at the end, after he's leaving.
So he says, I won't trouble you, Monsieur Selby, by asking you to see your sketches. For, of course, as someone who sits for many portraits, I am well acquainted with the artistic process and realize that you must filter the results of your initial work over a period of many weeks. But I look forward to sitting again. Perhaps the morning after our soiree, we will meet again. You do get up early in the morning, do you not? I certainly do.
That does sound like a capital idea. Yes, certainly. That can be
very well. Well, if there's nothing further, I shall depart, and let me give you my preliminary payment. And he hands you a thick wad of French francs, much more than you would have expected to get, even for the completed piece. The advance is very generous.
Well, I must thank you, sir. We shall see you at the soiree then.
We shall. I look forward to it. Lowell, is there something you wanted your character to do?
When he leaves, I will turn to Stanley, and I will say, Stanley, you still have your wits about you?
I'm fine. Yes, I can hold my drink.
I wish to know where he lives. I wish to know what his house looks like, where he goes from here. I say that you and I, at a discreet distance, we follow him. I want to know.
I think that would be interesting. We should know more about this man, and especially if there's with that much money, maybe we should. And if we have doubts about him, we should make sure that he's the kind of man he portrays himself to be.
Yes. Sim, do you wish to come with us? You've been there before.
Well, we don't need to shadow him. I know where he lives, so I can.
Well, then it'll be even easier.
Show you, even though I'd rather not. But
here's your coat.
Thank you. You're most kind.
Maybe he'll go somewhere else on the way home.
Possibly.
What say once you've completed your little stakeout, if that be the proper term, you come join the rest of us, and I do believe I promised to pay for a night on the town, and well,
that you did.
We'll scout ahead and find out what the more expensive booze tastes like.
Yes.
The Moulin Rouge, anyone?
Nope.
So how did the picture come along? Actually, looking at it.
Oh, good question.
The picture is a picture of a strange leather mask, not a picture of a person at all.
Ooh. Okay.
Richard, you must be more drunk than you seem.
What do you mean? I
Look at it.
No, this is not. This is
Pallid mask.
What does my sketch look like?
Your sketch looks like Etienne.
No. All my work is for nothing. What? No.
Well, it's quite good, isn't it? Though.
It's quite good that you got such a big advance, I'd say, perhaps.
It is among my best work, but this is not the subject. This is... I blame you. I blame all of you. This
you talk of the inner essence of the real person.
Look what you've
maybe
made
you've
me.
captured.
You robbed me of my... Almost inclined not to pay for this evening any longer.
Oh, there's no need for that.
No. I still will, but this is clearly...
Richard, blame us if you will, but this is the best work you've ever done, by far.
I know it.
Is this what you saw? Did you or was it simply that your hands guided you this way?
No, I mean, I saw his face. I clearly saw the man's face.
Well, this makes me even more intrigued, and I say we set out to see what we can see. Are you with me, Stanley? Sim?
Oh, I'm with you, of course.
Yes, I'll join you as well. This is far too strange to set out.
So you follow him downstairs, and you see him getting into an expensive carriage.
Okay, we'll hail the nearest carriage we can find nearby and ask them to follow that carriage at a discreet distance.
Oh, good thing you brought the guy with the money.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you follow the carriage out to a country estate. There's a gate around it, and there are and you see the carriage go through the gate. Servants close and lock the gate, and the carriage goes up to the gatehouse of the estate, and then you see Plamondon and a woman, also in a cloak. You can just you can make out from her figure that she's a slim, willowy sort of woman. But that's all you can tell about her. And they both get out of the carriage and then head into the chateau.
I will say to the cab driver, driver, what is the name of this estate?
The estate is called it's the Chateau Halley.
Dun, dun, dun.
The name sounds familiar somehow, doesn't it?
Well, I think we're at an impasse then, my fellows.
Yes, we are invited for a soiree at a later date. There appears to be nothing more than we can do here now.
You know, these fences rarely go around at the back of these estates.
Oh, come on, we're invited there for tomorrow. We don't need to break in there today. That's stupid.
No, that would be that's ridiculous.
At this point, those of you who are drunk are now recovered.
That's too bad.
Let us go and rectify that situation.
Indeed. As I said, Le Moulin Rouge.
Does Plamondon mean anything in French?
It's a French surname.
But it's not meaningful other than being a name?
Let's ask Google.
Let's combine our two needs. Let's find the nearest bar to the chateau and have a drink or two there before we make our way back down to the city lights and see what they know of the chateau.
Oh,
An absence or two and a chat to the local population. That'll satisfy our curiosity and our thirst.
Stanley,
Good idea,
your
Stanley.
rationalism is triumphant once again.
It means Plamondon means someone who lives on the top of a flat mountain.
Okay. I was just wondering if it meant pale face or something.
Okay.
So you find the nearest sort of peasant inn and eating place, and head on in. So what do you do?
Well, we're Americans, so we stand out like sore thumbs and make asses of ourselves. So,
yes, you get a lot of looks from the locals. Locals don't necessarily cotton to outsiders, so you do sense a distinct chill in the air as you enter their humble, regular establishment.
Okay, so everyone stops talking when we walk in the door, and we just stop. Music stops, peasants stop, everyone looks at us. So I just stride straight to the bar and order absinthe all around, and he's paying for the whole bar.
They and they're not interested in absinthe, but they'll take beer. There's a lovely saison in a cask, so they'll accept that.
when in Rome.
So they become somewhat warmer to you, and you wind up sitting with a big, heavy man with a great Baroque pitted nose, and his name, as you learn, is Gerard. So you've you've come here to experience the glories of the countryside and the salt of the earth, as it were, you Americans. Is that it?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, sure.
Though on our way here, we did pass by the local. Looks to be quite an impressive building.
What building is that?
The Chateau Halley.
There's no Chateau Halley. What are you talking about? Where is this? There's the Chateau Le Montin, but it's been unoccupied for decades. Since there was a fire there, and it's never been reclaimed. There's a family dispute.
I'm sorry, sir, but we're talking about the chateau. Even the driver from Paris knew its name. It must be famous.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
Well, perhaps we were misinformed. Our driver told us that the place was called the Chateau Halley. Perhaps he was mistaken.
Yes, the Chateau Halley. Yes, of course the Chateau Halley is here.
Excuse me?
Yes. It is the Plamondon family that lives there. They've lived there for generations.
Ah.
Yes, indeed. Do you have any contact with them? Any people from around here work at the chateau, perhaps?
What do you think would be likely?
Well,
Seems like they must have servants.
Well, if there are servants, then logically, yes, of course, I would know servants who live at the Chateau Halley. Yes, I do.
I had heard that they have an elephant as well. Have you heard of that?
Yes, of course. It isn't there any longer, but it was for some time. They use it for their for whatever reason, people who owned a chateau. That's perfectly logical.
Now it's our turn to get quiet. And besides the chateau,
would you like to come out back and see me slaughter a pig?
Never has a better offer been tendered to me, sir, but this time I think I might have to pass.
More beer, time to go.
Yeah,
yes.
I think we have to go on our way. Actually, we're needed back in Paris.
Absolutely.
Very well. Well, thank you for your generosity, and next time you come here, I will slaughter you like a pig, or I will show you a pig that I will slaughter.
Excellent. So always good to see the real salt of the earth. Now we're back to those effete townies.
Good day.
Thank you again for the beer. I look forward to our next meeting.
Yes. Yes.
Indeed.
Must go.
Yeah, and I think we paid for the cab driver to wait, didn't we? Or someone did.
Make a composure roll.
You'd say that.
Are we all doing that, or?
Oh, sorry. Make a preparedness roll. Make a preparedness roll.
Okay, me. Yeah. Yep. I will spend 1 for that as well. I made 4 plus the 1.
You did indeed fortuitously ask the driver to wait. You were prepared for this eventuality.
I was.
Hurry inside the cart now.
Yes.
So as you rush inside the carriage, you see all of the peasants in the tavern have come at you, and one of them is sort of whetting a knife. Could be a pig gutting knife.
Get in the carriage.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yep. Very fast.
Let's go.
We'll hit
So the carriage takes you back to Paris. where do you get it to let you off?
I guess back to the apartment that we.
Mm-hmm. We can split up from there.
Okay. So does anyone go off and do anything on your own before you reconvene? And if not, when and where do you reconvene?
Before the carriage driver goes off, I'd like to ask him if he knows where Carcosa is. Carcosa?
Carcosa. That's a tavern in Montmartre, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you.
You're most welcome, and thank your friend for his generous tip. We don't tip here in Europe, but I always appreciate Americans nonetheless.
If we're deciding about things we would do next, I think, given my background in architecture and given that we have the names of two distinct chateaus that apparently exist simultaneously, Schrödinger-like, I would like to see what I can find out about the Chateau Hali or Chateau, was it Montrain?
It was the Chateau La Montagne.
La Montagne. I am so bad with French pronunciations. And tomorrow I will see what I can find about that.
So in your researches, you discover that the Chateau La Montagne was indeed burned in a fire about shortly after the... actually, it was destroyed during the Franco-Prussian War. The Germans occupied it. They used it as a place to house troops, and the troops, as was their wont, trashed the place, and they wound up setting a fire. And since then, it's been tied up in a legal dispute and has not been reoccupied. The two wings of the La Montagne family have been fighting over the cost of renovations and who would then get to occupy it.
So 30 years. All right.
Yeah.
And Chateau Hali?
You find no reference to such a thing.
Okay. So that's what I do.
Okay. Anybody else?
Henley, I'm wondering if you've looked at the other annotations in your notes for other similar ramblings.
Yeah, so I've flipped through. Just check. Do I see anything?
So the other stuff, they're just sort of. You now look at it, and you. Most of the stuff is just sort of unintelligible, or it's sort of written in a weird sort of code, or it's just completely, innocuous. Like you went to a particular tavern, and then the marginal notes say, something like, the food was not as nourishing as it seemed. But you do find a couple of references. One, that all the jesters of Paris will truly reveal themselves. One of the notes says. The others say that the museum will only manifest for those whose destiny allows. But the strangest thing you find is there's a bunch of numbers throughout, and you kind of patch them together, and there's the address, and some of the numbers are related to a publishing house, and the address of the publishing house has been given.
Okay. How far away is this publishing house? Just go make sure it exists.
So you head on up to the address. It's Editions Rugal.
Okay.
It's a couple of offices in in a building in actually not that far from the Moulin Rouge.
Okay.
And as you're going there, you a sort of a portly, older, well-dressed gentleman meets you, and he comes up and says, Monsieur Brave, I trust the quality of the editions was to your liking?
Have I met this person before?
He does not. He seems to think he knows you, but he does not ring a bell.
I nod and yes, of course, yes, they're good.
The quality of the binding was sufficient?
Yeah.
You were. I realize your standards were exacting, so it is good to know that we lived up to them.
Yes. Thank you. I will.
And the inset bookmarks, the green silk was of the proper shade.
Yes.
Oh wait, no. Sorry, it was yellow silk. It was yellow silk. It was yellow, not green. Yes.
Oh yeah. No, everything was great. With the additions, yeah. I'm a little. I guess I'm a little unsure. Okay. Can I see the galleys? What are the? Sorry, need to Google what galleys are.
Well, as per your instructions, we destroyed the manuscript that you gave us.
Ah. Okay. Well, thank you. I'm sure I'll be back sometime soon. I just want taking a stroll.
There's one question I have to ask you. I knew that you said that no one at the publishing house should read the manuscript, but of course I accidentally read one of the pages, and there was a point where it says that there's an image that's really stuck. Did you write the manuscript?
Yeah. Sure, yeah, of course.
So what did you mean? And he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a straight razor. And he says, and he sort of points it and gestures at you as he speaks. What I was wondering was there's a section that says time is a flat circle. Did that have any particular significance? Because that had quite an effect on me. And he takes the razor and he slices open his throat and then collapses onto you. Make a composure check.
Oh boy!
What did I put in? Okay, it's to work. 5.
So this is a shocking thing to have happen, but you are just managed to convince yourself that you're a journalist, you're curious about the world, you have to be able to see horrible things in order to write about the truth of the world. So you're able to sort of compartmentalize this event, even as he's collapsed onto you and is bleeding out onto your coat. You're able to maintain enough distance from it that you think this will not. It doesn't cause you to faint or go mad on the spot.
Am I out on the street right now when this happens?
Yeah, you're on the street outside the office. And so a crowd begins to develop. People see that this thing has happened, and the gendarmes approach. What do you do?
What are gendarmes?
Police.
Police, okay. So I ask if there's are there any doctors, or does that can anyone help him? I shout into the crowd, hoping.
Okay, and let's see here. If you would like to spend a push, you can get a lucky break, and there will be a doctor there. Do you wish to spend a push to have a doctor present?
Yes, yes.
So there is a doctor in the crowd, and he has his medical bag with him, and he's able to wrap bandages from the bag in around the wound on his throat, and he calls for the police to assist him getting the man into a carriage, and they take him off to the hospital, and so that leaves one police officer, Lantier, to ask you. What just happened? Did you cut that man?
No, I was talking with him, and he just pulled out this razor and slit his throat. I honestly, I don't know what happened. I don't even know the guy.
You don't know him?
No.
So when we investigate his business dealings, we will find no link to you?
Oh boy.
Well, I think he was mistaking me for someone else. He seemed to think that we had been doing business, and I was confused. I assumed that we had no business.
And what sort of business did you not have with him?
He had a question about a book I had ordered, or a printing of a book. Yeah, and.
Please, may I see your papers?
Oh, yeah, so I hand him over my papers.
And this is your correct address?
Yes. Yes.
Well, we will undoubtedly be in touch with you later after our investigations proceed. But for the moment, you deny any knowledge of this man. You say that he knew you, but you didn't know him.
Yes, I do not recognize him.
And that we will find no evidence of your having ordered a print run of a book from him.
He seems to think I did. I do not have any knowledge of this.
Oh, most curious. And
yes.
But he was the one who. Why did he slit his own throat?
Oh boy.
I don't know.
Did he say anything unusual before he did that?
He asked me a question about the book, about one of the pages, and it came out of nowhere. I have no idea why he did that.
Well, this is most interesting. And you have no associates who might have been engaged in business with this man?
I have to ask.
And you are a writer, so you claim.
Yes.
So you are the sort of person who would have dealings with a publisher.
Yeah. But I just came by to see if I had heard of this publishing house.
Oh,
and I just wanted to confirm that it was here, that it existed.
Why would you wish to confirm the existence of a random publishing house?
In hopes, I guess, of eventually coming here to print, have some of my works published someday.
So you might have ordered books from him in the future, but you had not yet done so. This is your story.
Yes. That is my story.
And well, the confidence with which you say that, I think, is of great probative value. So you can certainly expect to hear from me again. But here's my card. My name is Inspector Lantier.
Yeah, thank you. If there's anything else I can do to help you figure this out, because I'm just as baffled. I
will certainly be in touch with you, and I will expect all of the cooperation you can muster, sir.
Okay.
But don't worry, the French justice system is very efficient and very friendly to outsiders.
Or the opposite.
Good day, sir. We will meet again.
I make my way very quickly back home.
Okay. And let's assume that this was enough reason for you all to go back to the cafe to confer, or that you've arranged to go back to the cafe to confer.
I will pass on my notes about the chateaus.
I've spent all of the morning and all of the day going over my sketches and doing some further studies of that masked face. I just can't seem to get it out of my head.
And in fact, whenever you try to draw him from memory, you draw another version of the mask.
I think I spent the morning trying to find a painting of the Chateau La Montagne and see if it matches Chateau Hawley in my recollection.
You do find one of those. You find it at the one of the lesser museums, and in fact, it is quite different than the chateau you recall seeing. The chateau you recall seeing sort of had weird buttresses and sort of dark walls, and before its destruction, anyway, the Chateau La Montagne was sort of light and airy and open as chateaus go.
I need to step away for a second.
Okay.
So I'm really nervous about tonight, and I keep pacing about town, and I can't really let go about the notion of was it a cafe you said called Carcosa?
Yes.
In Montmartre?
Yes.
So I'm walking by, let's say, Stanley's place, asking, would you like to come for a walk? I don't feel this thing about tonight drives me, I feel really nervous. Would you step out for a while with me?
Of course, you do seem very nervous. Are you well?
Yeah, sure. I'm not too comfortable going to this Harley place tonight again. But let's just walk up to the beautiful Montmartre. Maybe that will calm me down a bit. You know, see the flight of the pigeons and all that. You know, it's nice.
Sure.
There.
Yeah, of course. I'll take. Hang on, I'll get my satchel, my sketch pad.
Right.
And so as you head through Montmartre, Stanley, you notice again this sort of sense of architectural displacement. That it's not as obvious as like a gargoyle being completely different, but the angle seems sort of strange, and it's more like you'll notice something seems odd, and then out of the corner of your eye you'll look back and it'll seem right, and then you'll keep on going and you'll see another odd detail, and so the whole city is just sort of subtly shifting in your peripheral vision, but then returns to its usual form when you look at it head on. Oh, you're well lit now.
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, I didn't do anything.
Weird.
I can now start switching off. I have every light I have 3 lights on in the room now, so I can switch some off. One of the things I wanted to do was I mentioned photography earlier, so I was very quickly googling photography at the time period, and there obviously was some early type box cameras and things. So I'd either like to use preparedness to have one, or to spend some time going to find one.
Are you the one who has the photography ability on your sheet?
I have photography.
Okay.
Presumably you could have borrowed a camera from me.
Right. Good.
Okay.
So what do you photograph?
I want to try and take comparative pictures. If things are changing, I'm trying to get the evidence that things are changing. So if there's gargoyles or buildings, or I'm trying to take pictures of for that comparison.
Okay.
And find even if it proves nothing is changing in the photographs, that's all information for me.
So you're establishing a baseline, and then you're going to come back again and also
Yes.
take photos later for comparison.
I don't trust the sketches anymore because obviously we all sketch and we're all seeing different things. So I'm trying to get even more, new science about it. So whatever, something more concrete.
So while Stanley's photographing all the architectures, I'm trying to talk with the locals if they've ever heard of such a place as Carcosa, using my demimonde to make them tell me where it is.
And so what you get from the various shady characters you speak to is that the Café Carcosa is not an actual establishment, but it's the code name for a place where prostitutes are sometimes taken out into the and it's outside the city, and some come back having been fabulously well paid, but not everybody who goes comes back. And this could just be the fact that the various prostitutes of Paris there's a complicated set of gradations between all the different sorts of prostitutes. They have disorganized lives. They might, they can just disappear and nobody notices. But there has started to be a concern that the working women are more and more cautious about going to the Café Carcosa.
But where do you? In what direction? Where? Can you say anything about where it is outside Paris?
All they know is that it's a code name for a place. Then it's out in the sort of the surrounding country.
Yeah.
Are we back at the cafe now, perhaps?
Has anybody else got some project they wanted to do before meeting up? Is that everybody? Okay, yes. So you're at the cafe and ready to confer.
Well, then, that this Café Carcosa and the Chateau Harley is one and the same place.
I'm wanted for murder.
What?
I think I'm wanted for murder. I didn't do it.
That is the finest non sequitur I've heard.
Of course
Go
you didn't
on.
do it. You told us it was a crazy man and he killed himself.
Yeah.
It does sound horrifying, though.
So did you tell him the truth? What was?
Oh, I told the police the truth. I just don't expect them to believe me. Me being a foreigner and all. Yeah.
Henley, perhaps you should check your rooms for some books you don't recall ordering. We know that people have come and gone as they pleased.
That I will do.
And is there anything else you wish to discuss before Henley goes off to search his room?
Well,
after you.
How are we going to go about things tonight? We're going to go out there with a carriage to the soiree, right? What do we need to prepare?
Are you? What are you concerned about?
I should certainly hope that we don't run into that fellow from the tavern again.
Agreed?
It's a society party. I very much doubt that he will be present in and amongst the polite company.
Yes. As long as we stay away from the kitchen areas, we should be robbed. Shouldn't we?
Yeah, we should stay away from the chateau.
No. There is a mystery here. There is a strangeness. This is why we came to Paris.
Yeah.
To walk in the shadows. This and a patron. Get given he's strange, but a patron of this quality? We have to find out what is at the root of this.
Yeah, you're right.
And if we don't, who will?
Well, are we agreed then? We'll meet at a given time and embark on this strange and perhaps terrifying, but at the same time wonderful journey.
Yes.
Agreed. I have a question for Sim. Did you say how you heard about this previous party? Do you have friends in common with the Plamondons?
It would seem that way, wouldn't it? I was invited by an acquaintance of mine, and I didn't know anything about this Plamondon guy beforehand, but yeah, now I do, I suppose.
Perhaps too much.
Yeah. Anyway, Richard, when were you going to paint his sister again?
Well, we do have another sitting scheduled for tomorrow, the day after the soiree. It's my understanding that perhaps the sister will accompany him then.
Oh yeah.
Though I suppose we will see the sister this evening.
Or will we?
Well, perhaps in all of her glory.
Which one will we see?
Well, one can scarcely trust one's own eyes any longer.
So I guess we'll wait and prepare, and we'll hear if Henley has found anything, and then gather ourselves together to head out.
So Henley, you find an invoice from Editions Rougon and an empty box, and you can tell from the invoice that the name of the book that was apparently commissioned in your name was The King in Yellow.
That's not going to look good to the police. I take the invoice, keep it with me. Well, maybe. I assume I have match. No. Is it better to burn it or keep it with me? That's interesting. I take it with me, and I'll ask the others what they think is the best thing to do with that. Get some advice on running from the police, I guess.
So present it as dialogue so they can respond to it.
Yeah. So I eventually meet up with them, I assume.
So this is in the carriage as you're rattling toward the Chateau Halley.
Okay, yeah. So I went back to my apartment and I have found an invoice for this book called The King in Yellow, and an empty box. I did not. Did any of you order this? This isn't some prank, right?
No.
Nope.
Okay.
Have any of us heard of this title before, by the way?
It's new to all of you.
Okay. I suppose.
Oh, wait a minute. Who has Demimonde?
Oh, sorry, that's me.
Sim?
It is familiar to you. You've heard people talk about this extremely obscene book that the police are looking for the whoever secretly published this private edition because it's so incredibly pornographic that they're looking to lay charges on whoever published it.
And you say, what did the paper say that you found?
That I had ordered it, I assume. Yeah.
Yeah, so the invoice is made out to you, and it's stamped paid. So they've returned. So it's actually not an invoice; it's a receipt.
How much did it cost?
It was a relatively low amount of money. It was basically it was for an order of 36 copies.
And the box was empty.
The box was empty. Yes.
Is it possible that someone ordered this in your name, then broke into your apartment and stole the books?
That's certainly the story you should share with the police. I'm sure they'll believe that as well.
I think maybe you should just destroy
But
the
why would
invoice
the
and
publisher-
trust to your... Yeah, maybe
the
just
publisher-
destroy.
So destroy the invoice or keep it and tell the see, I already told the police that I hadn't ordered anything.
Well, exactly. And the police, I'm sure, want to believe you, but, you know, it might be hard for them to. It doesn't look good for you. Doesn't look
I would
good.
advise destroying it or putting it back. You don't want to be found with it on you, because then you cannot deny you knew about it.
Yeah. No, I
Perhaps
guess
the
I
man
should.
who ordered the books looked very similar to you.
And at this point, as the discussion goes on, Jack, you come to you have this weird sort of waking revelation as a memory returns to you unbidden that in the room in the catacombs where you were lost, that actually you were, in order to get out, you were required to create a drawing for an engraving, for a book plate of a place, this sort of alien landscape with black stars overhead, and that it was a drawing of Carcosa. And you recall even being required to letter beneath it the words King in Yellow.
Do I remember being abstractly compelled to do this, or there was some person forcing me to do it?
The memory is vague, but so it causes you to lean more toward like abstractly compelled.
Oh, I will relate this to my friends. I recall it now. It's terrible memory.
Make a composure check.
That's what I'm best at. I got a 5.
Okay. So although it's very disturbing to have this dissociated memory return, it does not cause you to do anything peculiar, or it's not something that you feel will erode your mental state over the weeks and months to come.
Well, here's the one thing we have on our side. Given that we know about what we know about Plamondon, I'm certain we will find a copy of this book in his library.
Well, and since I know that I was involved in the creation of it, I certainly expect my share of the proceeds.
Well, if what Sim told us was true, then you should rather be afraid to be thrown in jail. Should not wonder.
True.
That's also a good point.
So the carriage arrives at the gateway to the estate, and there are servants there holding the gate open. There are other carriages going in, and you see one of the carriages is disgorging a group of women whose aspect clearly reveals them to be Parisian prostitutes.
Into place, aren't they?
Sorry, pardon me?
Well, the pieces seem to be falling into place.
Yes.
I hope, Sim, that you've prepared quite the verse for tonight.
I'm still working on that, but yeah, we'll see.
A limerick, perhaps.
Once was a man from Carcosa.
And as you enter, you notice that the guests are attired as they were not the previous time. There seems to be a masquerade ball, and you see that the women who are arriving in street clothes are being ushered into an antechamber to take on the outfits that they've been provided. And a servant approaches you and says, "Gentlemen, have you not arrived in costume?"
We were not informed that it was a masquerade.
Oh, most regrettable. But we have outfits for those who are so misinformed. Please step through this room, and
All right.
and Gerard will take care of you. And so you assuming you do go into the chamber, there is Gerard, the peasant from the tavern, now dressed in servant's livery, and he says, "Gentlemen, here are your robes and masks."
Are they all the same mask, or are they different masks?
They're all different sort of Venetian carnival-style masks. But the robes are all the same. They're all a sickly yellow color, and they come with hoods. And he says, "And gentlemen, I recommend that you wear only your underwear under these robes, or it will spoil the line, and the guests don't like that. Here are the chests where you can put your clothing."
Fair enough.
Okay, then.
And as you change, you can see him sizing you up, as if inspecting you for where the butcher's cuts would go.
I discreetly try to stuff the invoice in my underwear.
Okay, and so you've done that.
I need to find a place to destroy that.
Oh my gosh.
And so you're ushered in. You're ushered into the great hall, and there you see there's about twice as many people as you saw before their sim, and they're all masked or otherwise unrecognizable in their costumes.
I was hoping to keep my satchel with me with my drawing supplies and whatnot.
Yes, you can do that. And so, wearing the leather mask that you saw the mysterious stranger wearing, Henley, Etienne Plamondon, wearing the yellow robes, calls the group to attention and says, "Before we proceed, we are once more blessed with the poetic renderings of the great American poet Sim Fallowby, whose decadent work will usher in a new movement, not just in American poetry, but throughout the world. And it is important that his words spread throughout the world as they did during the composition of the great play that he wrote for us." Mr. Fallowby, would you like to proceed with the reading?
So I try to collect my thoughts and say something that is not really my custom, but quite beautiful about the sunlight and the trees outside, but somehow I'm drawn to say this instead. I cannot forget Carcosa, where black stars hang in the heavens, where the shadows of men thoughts lengthen in the afternoon, when the twin sun sinks into the lake of Hali, and my mind will bear forever the memory of the pallid mask. And I sort of slumped down, exhausted.
And so, And so the music starts to swell as the guests start to gather, and the and they begin to sort of circle each other and commence this sort of strange dance where they're weaving in toward one another in these slow, strange, controlled movements. And you see that the men have scythes behind their backs as they dance with the women.
Is this something we feel compelled to participate in?
You do not feel compelled, but you can participate if you wish. And Gerard is handing out scythes for those who want them.
Are we
I'm
the
gonna
only
try
people who aren't participating? Is it? Are we kind of standing at the edge observing and everyone else is involved?
I think I'd feel safer with a scythe than without one. So I'll take one.
I will fall back like the others, scytheless, and just trying to look for where the exits are and ascertain that.
Yes. Trying to
And
stay.
you notice that the doors that were there when you entered the grand hall don't seem to be there anymore.
That's a fire hazard.
Well, yes, now that you mention it, there is a big brazier full of flaming coals in the middle of this seating. But it's giving off a strange yellow smoke that it's quite intoxicating. It reminds you of absinthe.
I will take a scythe that's been offered. I'll take one.
And do you join the dance?
I'll maybe start shiggling about a little bit on the edges, just to try and look like I'm one of them rather than one of the kind of outsiders.
And so you see there's a balcony level up atop before, and they're using lamps to sort of focus pools of light down onto the dance floor. And as you periodically during the dance, the music temporarily stops, and at that point, one of the couples that is caught in the pool of light then moves away from the dance and toward the brazier with the yellow smoke, and then the music starts up again.
Do they just stand by the brazier? So
they stand by the brazier, and the men stand behind the women, and the men are sort of helping to waft the smoke toward them.
I don't want to watch women be murdered with scythes, so I'm gonna go interfere.
Okay, what do you do?
I'm gonna jump in front of the closest pair of men and women and just kind of hold up my hands and say, "This is madness. What are you doing? You need to stop."
And as you do that, one of the men hands the scythe to his partner, to the woman, and she takes it and raises it to strike. So in fact, it looks like the women have been brought here to murder the men. But there's still a murder about to happen. So what do you do?
I guess I'll drop my scythe and try to grab the scythe out of the hand of the woman in front of me.
Okay, and so make an athletics check.
I'm gonna do a 2-point spend.
Okay.
I got a 3 with that 2-point spend.
Oof.
Okay, so you are able to sort of interfere and prevent the immediate murder from occurring, but she still has the scythe, and now she's coming for you. And the men all hand the scythes to the women in the room, and they charge toward you. What do you do?
I'm going to run towards my companions. I go, help! Help!
Okay, and you so make evasion rolls.
All of us.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to do another 2-point spend. And a 5 with that 2 points.
I'll spend 1.
I'll spend 2.
Oh.
Okay. I rolled a 6 and I spent 2. So.
Okay. So who got less than 4?
Me.
Okay. So those of you who got more than 4 are able to get outside of the chateau. You find that the entrances were there all along, that it was just sort of a weird hallucination, and you get through them as the people who did not make their evasion rolls take... So, Lowell, your character loses 6 health.
So 0 is where I'm at, is what you mean to say.
Yes. And Mark, you lose 7 health. And Michael, you lose 5 health.
I'm at 0.
I have regrets.
So the and Mark, what is your health now?
It's now 2. So
Okay.
I'm above 0. Yep.
So you see that so you've been stabbed and you're hurt, but you see that both. Okay, so make health checks to remain consciousness, Clifford and Henley.
All right. 3.
4.
Okay, so you're both still conscious but badly hurt. So what do the rest of you who could have escaped were it not for the terrible fate of your friends? What do you do?
You mean the ones
Well, they
left
said-
who succeeded the evasion roll?
Yes.
Well,
So you think-
I suppose we tried to drag our comrade.
Okay, so there's 3 unhurt people, and you each make an athletics check to see if you can extricate the hurt. Well, actually, Mark's character can just escape on his own, but so we'll need at least 2 successful athletics checks to get our 2 wounded characters out.
I'm going to do something else.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to pull a jar of turpentine out of my satchel from my art supplies, and I am going to try to light something on fire.
Okay. Do you maybe throw it onto the brazier?
Sure.
So you do that, and there's a great whoosh of flame, and the draperies set fire, people's robes set fire, and it starts to, and it falls over and starts to set the floor of the place on fire. So now suddenly there's a mass panic as people flee for the exits.
I'm spending 3 points of athletics,
Thank you.
Okay.
and I rolled a 1, so that's 4.
Okay. So which of the 2 do you help get out?
Lowell, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, the other guy's wandered by the cops. He's Mark Fennel. So someone else have an athletics check?
Yeah,
Henry, you want to make
I got-
an athletics check?
Yeah, I got 7 with my 2-point spend.
Nice.
Okay. So you whisk Henley out as well, and
Yeah.
so it's just mass pandemonium now as the chateau starts to. It just goes up like dry tinder, and people are fleeing from the place in droves and just sort of all directions out into the dark forest that surrounds the place, and some of them are able to sort of get into their carriages and ride off, and others just sort of flee the place entirely. So what do you do?
Can someone commandeer a carriage? Perhaps someone who's not bleeding to death?
Well, we can try, certainly.
Yes.
Is it possible to get a carriage?
Yes. And so someone make a riding check in order to commandeer a carriage.
I have riding.
Yes.
So I will spend all my 2 points in riding, and I will try and grab the reins from a fleeing, panicking horse on the way past, and throw myself up and ride it.
Could I assist him here?
You'll be able to make a if he fails, you're the backup.
Okay, I'll roll then. Oh, and that's a 6 plus 2. Yep, so he's 8 total.
In splendid, heroic, dare I say even swashbuckling fashion, you managed to calm the horses on the otherwise runaway carriage, and the group is able to hop into it and ride off into the night.
So, is anyone any good with trying to staunch this the blood that's flowing from?
I have some experience with first aid.
That'd be good. I have none.
Nice.
I also think I'm somewhat proficient.
Okay, so you can just basically spend those first aid points to increase the health ratings of the injured party members.
I have
I'll spend 4 on Stanley.
Spend.
I'm sorry.
I suppose I start looking over you, Lowell, since I
Yes, please.
pull you up.
Thank you. How much do you spend?
Is it still one?
Yes,
Is it 1 for 1? Or is
Yeah.
it? Okay. I'm going to spend, say, 4 points.
Ooh. Good man.
Anyone able to help me?
I am out of points, sir.
Am I able to spend points on myself?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
I'll spend 3 then.
So you, as you're riding, you notice that there's something strange has happened to the sky. The night sky, the sky is white, and the stars are black. But then all of a sudden, it all sort of shifts back, and you kind of sense that by disrupting the ceremony, that you've done something to postpone or forestall whatever strange force has been unleashed into the world by the King in Yellow. But you also have the sense that it's not over, and that somehow you are inextricably linked to the book.
Dun dun dun. Awesome.
And
Do you still have some of the paint that you were using to burn things? Or what, the turpentine?
I'm sure I have something. I at least have matches in my my smoking kit.
Oh yeah. Could you help me just burn this
invoice
real quick? I think I still have it. Pull it out.
Done and done.
And so you burn the invoice, and you head off, and the sky has gone back to normal. As you ride into the city, Stanley, the accelerating strangeness of the architecture of the city seems to have decelerated. And so you all go back to your garrets and your apartments. But as you head up the stairs, Henley, there waiting for you is Inspector Lantier, and he says, "Are you aware of a man named Etienne Plamondon?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, sir.
And why did you kill him?" And then the credits roll. First episode
Nice.
of The King in Yellow.